A seismic shift is underway in Venezuela. After years of turmoil, uncertainty, and international isolation, the country is waking up to a new reality. The air is thick with anticipation, and for the first time in a long while, hope seems to be returning to the streets of Caracas and beyond. The government has begun releasing political prisoners, signaling a possible end to years of authoritarian rule. These releases are more than just political gestures, they are deeply personal moments for families, who have waited anxiously for loved ones to return home. This move follows a dramatic U.S. military intervention that ousted the long-standing leader. The operation, swift and controversial, has left the nation grappling with both relief and uncertainty about what comes next. The world is watching as Venezuela stands at a crossroads. News outlets across the globe are covering every development, and the eyes of millions are fixed on the country's next steps. The release of opposition leaders, activists, and journalists, once jailed for dissent, offers hope to a nation battered by crisis. These individuals, once silenced, now have the chance to help shape Venezuela's future. For families, it's a moment of relief. For the country, a symbol of change. Across Venezuela, celebrations are erupting as people dare to believe in a brighter tomorrow. Yet Venezuela's challenges remain daunting. A shattered economy, fractured society, and hollowed-out institutions. Years of mismanagement and conflict have left scars that will not heal overnight. The U.S. intervention, while decisive, raises tough questions about sovereignty and international law. The international community is divided, debating whether this bold action will bring lasting peace or sow new divisions. The journey to democracy will be long and uncertain. Rebuilding trust in government and institutions will require patience, courage, and the participation of all Venezuelans. International support and the will of the Venezuelan people are crucial for rebuilding. Aid is beginning to flow in, and diplomatic efforts are underway to ensure stability and progress. The release of prisoners is a vital first step, but only the beginning. True change will depend on continued reforms, open dialogue, and a commitment to justice and reconciliation. The nation's future now depends on what comes next. Will Venezuela's youth find opportunity? Can communities rebuild what was lost? The answers remain uncertain, but the possibilities are real. Can Venezuela seize this moment to rebuild? The coming months will test the country's resolve and unity as never before. The world waits for the answer, watching closely as a new chapter in Venezuela's history begins to unfold. Who are these newly freed political prisoners? They're not criminals, but citizens jailed for opposing Nicolas Maduro's regime. Among them, elected politicians, student leaders, and journalists silenced for exposing corruption. Many endured years in harsh conditions, torture, isolation, and denied justice. Their imprisonment was meant to intimidate, stifle dissent, and paralyze democracy. These individuals became global symbols of resistance, their stories fueling international campaigns for their release. Their freedom is more than personal. It's a victory for the idea of a democratic Venezuela. Each release chips away at the machinery of fear. It's a necessary step for reconciliation and rebuilding trust between people and state. Without their freedom, talk of democracy would ring hollow. Now, hope returns to a wounded nation. The world is watching to see if this hope will last. The news broke in true Trump fashion, loud, bold, and impossible to ignore. The world was once again watching as the former president took to his favorite platform to make headlines. On January 10, 2026, Donald Trump announced on Truth Social, "Venezuela is releasing political prisoners in a big way." The post quickly went viral, sparking immediate reactions across social media and news outlets worldwide. He claimed full credit for the development, directly linking the release of prisoners to the recent U.S. military action in the region. Trump's message was unmistakable. American intervention had forced Venezuela's hand. Trump's message was clear. American power made this possible. He positioned himself as the architect of the breakthrough, reinforcing his image as a deal-maker on the world stage. He used the moment to warn the freed prisoners, "I hope they never forget. If they do, it will not be good for them." The warning was classic Trump. Blunt, direct, and designed to leave an impression. This warning added a layer of tension to the announcement, fueling debate among political analysts and commentators. Was it a genuine caution, or a calculated move to maintain leverage? At least 18 prisoners were confirmed released, but no full list was made public. The secrecy surrounding the names only deepened the sense of uncertainty. Families waited anxiously, glued to their televisions and phones, hoping their loved ones would be next. For many, every update brought a mix of hope and dread. The process was gradual, not all at once, perhaps by design. Each new release was met with both relief and frustration, as the fate of many remained unknown. For many, it was a time of hope mixed with uncertainty. The streets of Caracas buzzed with rumors, and every phone call could bring life-changing news. Trump's announcement set the tone. The U.S. is in control, and the world is watching. International leaders and human rights groups weighed in, each with their own perspective on the unfolding events. The fate of Venezuela's political prisoners remains a closely watched story, with global attention focused on every new development and official statement. The next steps will define the nation's future, as Venezuela stands at a crossroads, its people waiting, watching, and hoping for lasting change. The recent prisoner releases are a direct result of Operation Absolute Resolve, a major and unprecedented U.S. military strike that has sent shockwaves through the international community. This operation marks a turning point in U.S. foreign policy toward Venezuela, signaling a willingness to use force to achieve political objectives. Planned meticulously for months in utmost secrecy, the operation involved over 150 aircraft, including stealth bombers and advanced drones, and targeted the very core of Venezuela's leadership structure. The scale and coordination of the mission were unlike anything seen in the region for decades. The goal was clear: remove Maduro's regime from power and open the door for a democratic transition, giving hope to millions of Venezuelans who have long demanded change. This was not a full-scale invasion, but a highly precise strike designed to decapitate the regime's command and control, minimizing civilian casualties while maximizing strategic impact. U.S. forces struck key government and military sites in Caracas with pinpoint accuracy, catching the regime completely off guard and disrupting their ability to respond. The operation's speed and precision led to a rapid collapse of Maduro's power structure. Government buildings fell, military posts were abandoned, and top officials fled the capital in chaos. The world took notice. This was a bold, controversial move that immediately dominated headlines and sparked urgent debates at the United Nations and in capitals around the globe. Questions about sovereignty, international law, and the ethics of intervention will linger for years, fueling passionate arguments among political analysts, legal scholars, and ordinary citizens alike. For now, the immediate result is clear. Venezuela's political landscape has changed overnight. Celebrations erupted in some neighborhoods while uncertainty and fear gripped others. The long-term consequences, both for Venezuela and for U.S. foreign policy, remain deeply uncertain. Diplomats and lawmakers are already debating the next steps. Operation Absolute Resolve has set a new precedent, one that will be studied and debated for years to come as a defining moment in modern intervention. The world is watching closely, waiting to see what comes next for Venezuela, its people, and the global order. Venezuela's future hangs in the balance as a nation stands at the crossroads of history. Operation Absolute Resolve led to the capture of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. Maduro, long accused of corruption and human rights abuses, was swiftly removed from power. Both were flown to New York, not for exile, but to face U.S. federal charges, including drug trafficking and narco-terrorism. The U.S. is treating Maduro as a criminal, not a head of state. This dramatic move ends his regime and sends a powerful message to other dictators. For many Venezuelans, it's a moment of justice and liberation. But with Maduro gone, a power vacuum emerges. Who will lead Venezuela now? The nation faces its most urgent question: how to form a new government. The world is watching as Venezuela stands on the edge of a new era. The next steps will determine if this is a true turning point. The stakes could not be higher. With Maduro ousted, the U.S. has taken a direct role in Venezuela's transition. Trump announced temporary American oversight to ensure a safe and stable handover of power. U.S. involvement covers security, organizing new elections, and rebuilding Venezuela's devastated oil industry. The goal: restore order, revive the economy, and guide the country toward democracy. This hands-on approach is risky. America could be seen as an occupier, fueling resentment. Balancing competing political factions and rebuilding trust will be a delicate task. The world's largest oil reserves are at stake, with global energy markets watching closely. The US is betting it can steer Venezuela to stability and prosperity. Success or failure will shape America's legacy in Latin America. The world is watching every move. Freeing political prisoners is essential for Venezuela's recovery. It removes a major barrier to dialogue and reconciliation. Many of the released are respected leaders, crucial for a legitimate transition. Their participation gives credibility to any new government. The release signals a break from the past and inspires hope among ordinary Venezuelans. It encourages civic engagement and restores faith in democracy. Meeting this demand also helps Venezuela repair its global reputation. Sanctions may be lifted, and international aid could flow in. Freedom is the foundation for Venezuela's new beginning. Despite the positive headlines, uncertainty clouds Venezuela's future. Trump's warning to freed prisoners, "I hope they never forget," underscores the conditional nature of their freedom. The US expects these leaders to align with its vision for Venezuela. This creates new pressures and a delicate political dynamic. Not all prisoners have been released. Families wait anxiously for news. The process is gradual, with no clear timeline or public list. Rumors and speculation fill the void. The full scope of the agreement remains secret. Venezuela's next chapter is still unwritten. Venezuela stands at a pivotal moment. The immediate challenge, forming a transitional government that unites divided opposition factions. Free and fair elections are the ultimate goal, but rebuilding electoral institutions will take time. The timing of elections is critical. Too soon risks chaos. Too late risks losing legitimacy. The economy is in ruins. Humanitarian aid is urgently needed. Rebuilding the oil industry will be a long-term effort. Lifting sanctions will help, but deep structural problems remain. The world watches with hope and apprehension. The removal of a dictator and the release of prisoners are positive, but US military intervention complicates the path forward. Stability, democracy, and prosperity are possible, but not guaranteed. The choices made now will shape Venezuela's destiny. Will this be a true turning point or another false dawn? Only time will tell.